It's one of the most infamous cases in modern history. And at the center of it all, one man. But what if the public image you think you know is just a carefully constructed distraction? In this explainer, we're going behind the headlines to uncover the man and the paradox at his very core.
So let's ask the one question that cuts through all the noise. Beyond the media frenzy, who really is Jon Ramsey? Because the truth, it's never just one thing. It's a web of contradictions.
Is this the grieving father, completely shattered by a loss that none of us could ever imagine?
Or is he the calculated billion-dollar CEO, always 5 steps ahead, pulling the strings, controlling every single variable?
Or is he something else entirely? A system breaker? A guy who doesn't just play the game, he rewrites the rules to make sure he always wins. So in this explainer, we're going to dissect the man himself. We'll start with what I'm calling the Ramsey paradox. Then we're going to hit 4 key facts, one by one. His habit of bypassing authority, his very specific conditional trust, his life as a corporate operator, and yeah, we're even going to look at his marital history. And all of it builds to one final jaw-dropping contradiction that will make you rethink everything. All right, let's dive right in. The Ramsey paradox. This is the absolute heart of the matter. It's this fundamental question. How can a man's greatest strengths in one arena look like his most damning flaws in another? And this quote, this right here is the key that unlocks his entire mindset. He doesn't do helplessness. When a system puts up a wall, he finds the side door. You get it? He's an operator. In the world of business, that makes you a legend. But in a murder investigation, it makes you suspect number 1.
Which brings us to fact number 1, bypassing authority. And here is the first huge piece of this puzzle. It wasn't that he hated authority. No, he just believed he was smarter than it, that he could outmaneuver any system put in front of him.
So how did he do it? Well, this quote from Jon himself is just incredibly revealing. When Patsy was getting cancer treatment, he realized the doctors weren't the real gatekeepers. He said, "It's the clerks." So what did he do? We started making friends with the clerks. See? He didn't try to kick down the front door. He charmed his way into getting the key for the back.
Are you seeing the pattern here? Because it's a playbook. It's his method. Step 1, isolate the real choke point, the bottleneck. Step 2, grease the gears. Use social leverage, charm, whatever it takes. And step 3, secure the outcome. Get what you want. This wasn't a one-off. This is how he operated.
And look, this mindset didn't just appear out of thin air. You've got a U.S. Navy vet, a defense contractor, and the CEO of a billion-dollar company. He was literally trained to see bureaucracy not as a solid wall but as a puzzle, a system to be solved. To him, this wasn't cynicism. It was just operational realism. And that way of thinking leads us directly to fact number 2, conditional trust. This is the next critical insight. See, he didn't distrust all authority, not at all. For him, trust was a currency, and you had to earn it with competence.
And you see this nowhere clearer than with law enforcement. On one side, the Boulder Police Department. In his eyes, incompetent, riddled with groupthink. But on the other side, Detective Lou Smith. Jon saw him as objective, experienced, trustworthy. The takeaway here is absolutely crucial. Jon Ramsey doesn't trust institutions, he trusts people.
And this quote, wow, this gets right to the heart of his entire worldview. The law in the hands of bigots is a dangerous thing. For Jon, the law isn't some noble, abstract ideal. It's a tool, a weapon even. And in the hands of people he thought were incompetent, it was dangerous. In his mind, the Boulder PD had basically lost the right to wield it.
But let's just pause for a second. As Jon the operator is taking control, dismantling every obstacle, you have to ask, what about Patsy? In this storm of his own making, was she a grateful partner standing by her brilliant husband? Or was she something else? Maybe even a casualty of his need for control?
In that question of value, of worth, it brings us right to fact number 3, the corporate operator. Because in the cold, brutal world of big business, we see just how fast a man can go from being an indispensable asset to a disposable liability. Look at this number.
$1 billion. As the CEO of Access Graphics, John Ramsey wasn't just good. He was a titan. He took that company and grew it to over $1 billion in revenue. He was the guy, the proven strategic leader, an undeniable top-tier asset.
And here is where it all flips on a dime. For his company, Lockheed Martin, he was the golden boy they promoted to CEO. But then, when General Electric bought them, everything changed. For GE, his incredible track record meant nothing next to the scandal. Suddenly, he wasn't an asset, he was a public relations liability. The system's logic changed overnight from performance to perception. And just like that, he was out.
All right, now for fact number 4, we're moving from the boardroom into the home to look at his marital patterns. And when you look closely at his relationships, a pretty striking pattern starts to emerge. Maybe a preference for deference.
This timeline, it's revealing. His first marriage ends after an affair with his secretary, who then becomes his second wife. Then comes Patsy, his third wife, who, while a strong personality, often deferred to John on the big stuff. It's hard to ignore the potential arc here, a pattern of choosing partners who offered stability and, well, wouldn't challenge his control.
And all of this, the control, the systematic thinking, the distrust, the patterns, it's all been building to this. Our final section, the final contradiction. This is where we get the psychological key that might just unlock this entire baffling case.
Okay, the concept is called forensic framing, and you really need to pay attention here. It's a psychological phenomenon where a person's totally normal traits, the way they act every single day, get reinterpreted through a lens of suspicion, and suddenly they become evidence of guilt. The person's behavior doesn't change at all, only the story being told about them does. And this slide, this lays the entire paradox bare. The exact same traits that made him $1 billion CEO, being strategic, logical, in control, were the very same traits that once the spotlight of suspicion hit him, were suddenly twisted into being cold, manipulative, and evasive. Same behavior, two completely different and warring interpretations. So in the end, we're left with this one final haunting question. Was John Ramsey's calm, controlled demeanor just the coping mechanism of a hyper-competent man in the face of unimaginable trauma? Or was that composure the most masterful performance of all?